Hi folks, John with the Wingman115 channel here for a Gauntlet review today. Now, the folks over at Vargo were nice enough to send over a Vargo titanium hexagon stove. What I'm going to do is cut away. We're going to do a quick tabletop specs rundown, and then we're going to get to cooking on this stove. You're not going to want to miss this video review, folks. Let's do it. Here's my basic setup for today's review. Now, keep in mind, I'm not out in the woods, and there's a reason for that. I live in the state of California. We are in a drought situation, and it is fire season. You cannot have any open flame other than a gas-powered stove out in the woods at this time. So I'm being responsible. I figured I'd do it in my backyard, and let's talk about that. You can learn these outdoor skills in the comfort of your backyard at any time, and it's a great way you can own these skills, and then it's going to make you more equipped when you go out into the woods. So without further ado, let's see if we can't get this fire going. Now, I had a stick of fat wood, and I just used the back of my knife, and I just scraped to get some curls. So I just got me a big old pile of fat wood curls. I don't need them all, but I'll just put some in there, and that's going to help get this going. And I'm using pinyon pine in here, so I'm just going to start out with a couple sticks. We'll get this going, and I'm just going to use a lighter. No need to use ferro rods today to get this going, but look how fast that fat wood just goes right up. So I'm going to work on getting the fire going, and then I'm going to get some water on the boil. Once I get this wood to catch really good, then I'll put my Stanley pot where I have 16 ounces of water, and then we'll see how long it takes us to boil 2 cups of water on this stove. And on today's menu, we're making some Backpacker's Pantry bacon and cheddar mashed potatoes. Alright, I think this fire is going good enough now. I'm going to close the damper door. Let me use my knife to get that piece of wood down just a little bit. And then we're going to put my Stanley pot on there. And then we're going to see if we can get a rolling boil out of this stove. Now, the folks at Vargo, I heard that you can use this door as like a damper. So if you need to increase your airflow, open that up a little bit, and you can get some air going in there. Or if it's running too hot, you close it down a little bit. Well, it's been about 6 minutes. Let's take a look. Starting to get a rolling boil. And let's pop open the door. Still got a nice bed of coals in there. So what I like about this is that you're getting a nice clean burn, and that'll eventually burn down to ash. Now you want to be mindful of what you're going to set this stove on. Here I'm at the command bunker at my house. So I set it on a pizza pan, and I also set it on some bricks because I don't want my wife telling me that I burned the paint off her tabletop. But if you're out in the woods, that's what I'm saying. You have to be mindful. Here in California with a high fire risk, I couldn't go out in the woods right now and do this. I would have to utilize it sitting it on a rock. If you set it on a piece of wood, you are going to burn whatever stump that this is setting on. So just be mindful. You're going to have to set it in either the dirt or on a rock. One, to get good ventilation through the bottom of this stove and to allow ash to fall through. there always has to be some sort of reward when you do these videos. For me today, it's going to be making up some bacon and mashed potatoes. A word of caution, always take the O2 absorber out of the package. It doesn't taste that great when you leave it in there. Just food for thought. Now, I put 2 cups of water. The directions here only call for 1 cup, which would be 8 ounce. So I'm going to take half of this and pour this in there. And then I'll stir it up. And while I let this simmer for its allotted time, I'll come back and I'll give you some final thoughts and a Gauntlet rating on this stove. Now for some final thoughts and a rating on this stove. I love doing stove reviews, and the reason why is there's always a reward at the end of the review. And I've been sampling this one. It is really good. If you haven't had Backpacker's Pantry bacon and cheddar mashed potatoes, they rock. Now, let's talk about the Vargo Hexagon stove. First thing is, I never tested out a volcano stove before, and this is a new concept for me. So I was really impressed with the packaging, how it came, how it compressed down. Really small, neat. So the size and weight constraints, it's spot on right there. For my environment, yeah, I'm in my backyard, but you have to understand, in California right now, there is 0 fires out in the woods. Unless you are in a campground, you cannot have open flames at all. So being a responsible outdoors person, I'm choosing my backyard, and there's nothing wrong with your backyard learning the skills to make you better equipped for when you go out on those expeditions and those outings with family and friends. It just makes you own those skills a little bit better. Now, this stove worked really well in my environment, but yeah, I'm using fatwood shavings and pinyon pine. It got a little sooty at first until it generated enough heat, and then that volcano stove took over and it boiled that water on the quick. I was really impressed. It was around 5.5 to 6 minutes to boil 16 ounces of cold water. That wasn't bad, burning just wood in a wood stove. So I have to give Vargo thumbs up for that. But full disclosure, I've done a little research on this stove before I did this video review. Some of the YouTubers in different locations where the humidity's high, where it's a wet environment, had issues with airflow getting up into this Hexagon stove and to almost gasifying the wood. So what they had to do was they had to drill some holes in the side panels of the Hexagon all the way around. I don't think Vargo needs to do that, but here's one suggestion I would make maybe on future models, is to have a way maybe to have this door, which you use as a damper on a stove, to be maybe graduated. So you could open it up a third or a quarter, then half, then go all the way. And I think that would probably solve a lot of the issues that my fellow YouTubers are having with their stoves. Now, one safety concern, I'm using mine on a pizza pie plate, and I have some bricks underneath, so I don't do a burn ring on my table. If you go out in the woods and you put this on a stump, or if you put this on a Forest Service picnic table, they're not going to be friends with you out there, because this is going to get hot enough to do a burn ring on that table or on that stump. So you're going to want to put it on the bare ground, or you're going to want to put it on a rock, knowing that it's going to get hot. So with that in mind, you're wondering, what rating am I going to give this? Well, in the Gauntlet, we only have 2 ratings. It's either a thumbs up or a thumbs down. For my environment, for what I do with this, using the dried pinyon pine and everything, I have to give it a thumbs up. It worked as advertised. It's going to be fun to watch this stove as it travels through the Gauntlet in the different geographical locations of the different Gauntlet reviewers. You're like me, I'm in a semi-arid desert-ish environment. The next stop is going to be up in Canada in the maritime provinces, and you can look for that YouTuber in the description below, and I'll put his name here, within the next week or 2. So you're going to want to follow along this stove as it travels through the Gauntlet, and we made it easy for you. You can go to thegauntlet.tv, We'll have all the videos listed, and we made it real easy to view all the latest Gauntlet videos. Folks, this is John with the Wingman115 channel. I want to thank Vargo for submitting this stove to the Gauntlet, and I look forward in its travels. I'll see you folks on the next video. Now I have some mashed potatoes to eat. Take care, folks.